This has to be the gayest, ostensibly straight movie that I've seen since the first Venom. Wicked! I've finally seen it. People have been yelling at me to see it ever since I made a video last year ahead of its release saying they're making a lot of weird decisions around how they're doing this, and I don't think it's going to work out well. Well, it clearly worked out well at the box office, and most people seem to really like this, whether they are familiar with the stage play or not. So good on them. Like, I certainly, like, this is true most of the time. Even when I express, like, I don't think this is going to work, that doesn't mean I'm rooting against something. So I think some people wanted me to review this a lot sooner so I could go, oh, I was wrong. Like, no, I was never going to say that because I think I had legit reasons for my concerns. Just because my concerns maybe didn't turn out to actually be a problem doesn't make it invalid that I had them. You're allowed to be worried even if the thing you're worried about doesn't end up panning out. Especially if you've been doing this for as long as I have, and more often than not, when you're worried about it, you're right. But moving past that, yeah, this is pretty good. My main concerns going into this, ahead of its release, was the length of it. This is 2.5 hours for all intents and purposes, if we get rid of credits. And it's only the first half of the play. Like, this movie is as long as both acts of the musical, and it doesn't have any new songs. Some songs have been expanded and added to. That is worth noting, but there are no flat out new songs, and that's a decent chunk of time. Like, they basically doubled the length of the first act, and I didn't think that was going to work. It does for the most part, though. I'm still not sure it was. So, like, here's what I'm going to say. The additions are a lot of small things that add up. There isn't too much in the way of massive, like, well, that definitely wasn't in the play kind of additions. It was a lot of, like, slightly extending scenes, having characters interact a little bit more, like maybe one or two short additional scenes. Like, we see a little bit of Madame Marble actually trying to coach and teach Elphaba, which you don't actually have a scene proper of that in the stage play, but is a very logical thing to include. So that's the kind of stuff that's the additions, and it's placed and spaced out well enough that it didn't feel like massive gaps between the songs, which is what I really assumed was going to happen. So I would still argue this is longer than it needs to be, but I don't think those additions were a detriment. I'm not sure how much they added, at least all of them. I think some of them I still would have trimmed out, but they aren't a detriment, and they don't turn what was just the first act of a play into a slog of a movie, which is what I thought was going to happen. So power on them for doing that. And I think they just did that by nickel and diming it. Just by being careful with where the additions were and not overdoing any one specific addition. So it felt like, okay, that right there, that's too much. No, it's smaller changes that just added up to a decent amount of more time. And I think they handled that pretty dang well. Reminder, I am familiar with the musical. I have never read the book. I am familiar with the book. I've read enough about it, and I've talked to enough people who have read it that I have a decent familiarity with the book, but I've never actually read it. I have both seen the play on Broadway, and I have listened to the soundtrack more than a bit. So I'm fairly familiar with what this is actually adapting, which isn't the book, it's the musical. The musical was adapting the book. This is adapting the musical. So I think referencing the book is not even really necessary as far as this thing's concerned. So the two leads, best part of the thing, which is a good, like, if those are going to be your best elements, if your best elements can't be everything, and it's going to be your two main leads, yeah, they're both good. Phenomenal singers. Like, I don't know too much about Ariana Grande's music. I can talk. I don't know too much about her music. She doesn't do the kind of stuff that I listen to, and I didn't know too much about Cynthia Erivo either, but they both handled this really well. Ariana's very much channeling Kristen Chenoweth, but like doing a real good job. It doesn't feel like an impression. It feels like channeling that spirit into the character, and she nails that. Jeff Goldblum, also quite good. I think he was a good casting choice. And I also like that they gave him, like, he also had some additional time, you could tell. They basically gave Jeff Goldblum enough space to do Jeff Goldblum stuff, which fits. I think it actually fits the wizard quite well. So, like, I liked him a fair bit too. Fiyero was fine. I guess I didn't think he was as handsome as he was supposed to be, and his dynamic with the other characters, like, his songs are fine. He's a decent singer. I wasn't blown away by him. I actually like felt more affinity for Bach. I think just because that actor's more low key on camera charisma actually captured my interest a bit more. Apparently, the actress they got for Nessa is the first time that part has ever been played by an actual wheelchair user, which, good on the movie. Boo on every version of the stage show that has never bothered to do that, but good on the movie for that. That having been said, there is a couple of ableist elements to this. As they present here, it's arguable how much of that is an issue with the narrative itself or with the characters, because lots of characters are ableist towards Nessa, absolutely. That does not necessarily translate to the overall narrative being ableist. But I know the stuff that goes on with her in the second part, so yeah. That's the kind of stuff that I'm hoping they'll tinker with a bit, because, but we'll see. We'll see. This hurts to say, Michelle Yeoh was just kind of there. And I don't mean like she phoned it in or anything. She didn't. But also, like, Madame Marble isn't that... It isn't a part with that much meat on it in the first place. And I think she did what she could with it. But it isn't that interesting of a part. So I don't think that's her fault. Peter Dinklage was a good grab for Dr. Dillamon for the goat. There's a lot of presence and gravitas in his voice. And I do appreciate them using the fact that this is a movie to actually depict the animals as opposed to anthropomorphic and, people with animal features, which is what they have to do by necessity in the stage version. So I think that worked out pretty well. The effects are pretty good. You can tell they took the time to be sure the effects were done and final. There wasn't really any effect that looked rushed. That said, I don't care for the muted color palette in this, and I do not understand why it's there. Like, Wizard of Oz, which, let's be very clear, both the musical and this, and from my understanding, the book as well, takes way more cues from the movie The Wizard of Oz than from the book The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. And, like, what is the core visual feature of that? Bright. It's bright and colorful. Like, that was half the point of that movie. And this thing has lots of color in it, but it's all just a little muted. Well, not all. A lot of it. A lot of it is just a little muted, just a little darker, just a little faded, and I don't know why. By the time it was done, it wasn't bothering me anymore because I got used to it. I still don't like it, though. Like, there's a difference between growing to like something and just getting used to it enough that it doesn't bug you anymore. And that's what happened in this case. I think... So I said that the additional stuff means the story doesn't drag. That is compared to how it is on stage. There are still some elements that... Like, here's the thing. Act 1 of Wicked is the better part of Wicked. It has much better structure. It flows a heck of a lot better. It's got the better songs, or at least more of the good songs in it. But it's also really predictable. Like, I don't know how much of the audience who came into this knew the play or didn't. Obviously, for anyone who knows the play, it being predictable is a moot point. They already know it. But I watched this with my girlfriend who, like, knew some of the songs, but she's very into musical theater, but she knew some of the songs. She'd never seen it. She didn't know the whole deal, and she found it overall to be a bit of a slog in some ways. And I think that is more representative of the source material than anything else. And it's a perspective that I'm bringing up because it's one that I can't share because I already knew the plot. The fact that the plot was predictable, I can't do anything about. I already know it. So for her to feel like it was a bit of a slog because the beats were really obvious in terms of like, oh, here's this guy they're gonna both have a crush on. Oh, she has these innate powers. She's gonna be singled out. The enemies to friends thing. Like it I think that's where the length hurts it a little bit, is that it is taking a fairly predictable plot line and it is pulling it out of, oh, you know what? I sort of told a fib before. I said there wasn't any one scene that's like that shouldn't be there at all. No, there actually was. It was towards the climax, and it's this whole extended chase with Elphaba and Glinda running from initially the monkeys and then guards, and then they're going up this tower, and there's a bit with the balloon and stuff's on fire, and I'm like, okay, why do we need an action climax? Like your climax is the song Defying Gravity. Like that's your climax. This action climax you're having prior to that, boy, this does not help. This does not help. That is the one part that I would say, just cut that. Just get rid of that wholesale. That didn't help. All that did was delay us getting to your actual proper climax of the dang thing. So, yeah. There was that. I'd forgotten how much that annoyed me. Oddly enough, I think I tried to block it out. But I think that as an adaptation of the stage show, or at least the first half of the stage show, it is a good piece of work. I think most, like, I'm thinking of my girlfriend here. I think, by and large, most of the things that bugged her about this would have also bugged her about the play. So that's not necessarily the fault of the movie, unless you are of the opinion that the movie had a responsibility to fix those things. And I'm not sure I feel that's the case, at least with Act 1. I'm going to be real curious how Act 2 plays out, because Act 2 is, first of all, way messier than Act 1. It's not as cohesive. It doesn't flow as well. There's way more time jumps. There's way more, big swings, and some of them do not pay off. There's fewer real banger songs. Like the best song in that one is No Good Deed, which is like, it's maybe halfway through the act. Like, yeah. Act 1 is, I think, an easier thing because the actual climax of the act is the best song in the show. So that like gives you a natural climax to it. Next act, the best song is halfway through. And like the story just feels messier. So I think I've always kind of always been of the mind that I'm way more curious as to what they're going to be doing. I think this is part of what baffled me ahead of the release of this, was seeing what they were planning, what the runtime was. I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, you don't actually have to mess with Act 1 that much. Act 1's solid. Act 2 needs some work, especially as a standalone piece. And I am way more curious as to what they're going to do with that. And it really does sound like they are planning to do a lot more. They're actually adding additional songs there. Like it is the part that it sounds like they're doing a lot more actual alterations to, and it's the one that needs it. So I am going to be curious. But overall, like, this is good. Is it great? Is it amazing? Did it blow me away? Do I think it deserved Best Picture? No. No, I don't. But then again, like, the Oscars are pointless. But like, no, it's good. It's a good piece. It's a good, solid piece. I would still argue that if you're going to experience Wicked, I would still recommend the stage play over this, because I still am of the opinion that when it comes to a spectacle show, the spectacle is grander seeing it on a stage done for real than seeing it in a movie where it's a bunch of CGI. Well executed CGI. Yeah, they deployed it well. Credit where credit's due, but like, it's not the same. Like, this is standard blockbuster stuff. Whereas going and seeing it on a stage and seeing that big mechanical head of the wizard show up and start talking like, whoa, okay, it feels more momentous having it be on the stage, even though technically the head's way smaller than it is as depicted here. But like, as it's depicted here is standard for the medium of blockbuster film. It is not standard for a stage show. So, it's fine. It's fine. It absolutely did not fall apart for the reasons I thought it would, and it doesn't even really fall apart at all. I'm not astounded. I'm not amazed. I'm not blown away. But they did managed to make work the aspects that I thought were going to mean this thing's a mess. And it's not. It was good. Which, like, oddly, frequently me just saying something is good when other people think it's great is a more divisive and incendiary opinion than me saying it's bad. I don't know why that is, but it does seem to be the case sometimes. We'll see whether or not that is the case here. But Wicked, whatever your thoughts are on it, drop them on down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills, enables me to do this as my living, even if you can't help me out that way. Like, share, subscribe. Those all help me out. Don't worry too much about it, though, because we take a relaxed attitude around here, and you can just come on back next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Goddess Elida, Zubin Lopfula, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Oliver B., Melissa Pedersen, Movie Turtle, Melinda Walters, Auntie Kate 808, Andre, Becky Sparks, Claire Wright, Tracy Scrabbit, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Quite Bearish, Rosalind Bennett, Toku Bluhuvian, Adam RDL Taylor, Pal Barabajagal, Mary Mello, Mira G, Sir Didymus is my favorite. I've never screwed that one up before. Well, if you want to hear me mess up your name, check out the rewards on the Patreon. I'm going to blame you.